Islam, in its first 13 years in Mecca, was constantly suppressed and its followers were tormented. The migration from Mecca to Medina became known as the Hijra, which marks the starting point of the Muslim calendar. That's to say, the Islamic calendar began at the migration of the Prophet from Mecca to Medina, and it is based on the lunar cycles. Throughout the first 10 years in Medina, Muslims witnessed several occasions that were to become milestones in the history of Islam. The migration, Hijra, marked the turning point in liberating Islam and its followers. In addition, Medina also provided a safe haven and an opportunity to establish the birth of the Islamic State. In Medina, where the Prophet of Allah became head of what was to become the first Islamic State, the Quranic verses regarding rules of social, economic, political, and formal rituals were mostly introduced in Medina. Muslims consider the migration to Medina as an Islamic victory for freedom of religion. The Prophet proceeded to Medina. When his camel descended at a location known as the Valley of Wada and set its foot on the land of Yathrib, the people warmly welcomed and greeted the Prophet with jubilation. The mood surrounding this event is marked by a well-known poem. The white moon rose over us, from the Valley of Wada, and we owe it to show gratefulness when the call is to Allah. O you who were raised amongst us, coming with a word to be obeyed, you have brought to this city nobleness, welcome best caller to God's way. It was necessary for the Prophet of Allah to create a center where its members could assemble, and thus the mosque was not only a place of worship, but also a center of social, political, and educational services. The primary task was to build a mosque in Medina. The Prophet himself participated in building the mosque, which also incorporated his home. In addition, the companions of the Prophet built their homes in close proximity to the mosque to be near the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his progeny. It was in Medina that the unity of brotherhood amongst the Muslims was introduced. There were two major tribes in Medina: the Muhajirin, immigrants, and the Ansar, indigenous. The Ansar were divided into two groups, Aus and Khazraj, tribes who had been fighting each other for over 100 years. In brief, Muhajirin, Muslim immigrants from Mecca, and Ansar, the helpers who received the Prophet of Allah in Medina, were the two major groups of Muslims in Medina. Aus and Khazraj were major tribes within Ansar that lived and supported the Prophet in Medina. Under a common purpose, Islam, the Prophet of Allah appeased the animosity that existed among the two tribes by establishing a form of brotherhood between them. Now you have become brothers in faith, by pairs, the Prophet of Allah said to his followers. By this method, the Prophet ensured the political and spiritual nature of his nation. Today, the unity of brotherhood continues to remain a tremendous act of equality among Muslims. Islam is a foundation upon which all races, nationalities, cultures, socio-economic levels, and genders can be united by religious kinship. The Prophet of Allah made the institution of matrimony easier as well. The gift of marriage, mir, which the man is to give to his bride, was made moderate, and intermarriages with other tribes became more accessible as socio-economic or ancestral descent was no longer a major factor in marriage. The establishment of marriage became a form of uniting, securing, and promoting Islam within various tribes and nations. Marriage not only symbolized the religious union of a man and a woman, but also, indirectly influenced and affected social and political ties. The Prophet said, "He who wishes to appear before God with a pure soul, should get married." The Prophet set the example of marriage with his own daughter Lady Fatima. Although many friends and companions of the Prophet had proposed marriage to Fatima, they were made aware that her marriage was not going to be based on affluence, rank, or descent. The men knew that the person that resembled the Prophet in matters of truthfulness, spiritual merit, and moral excellence would be none other than Ali. The Prophet, by God's direction, told the suitors that the marriage of Fatima would only occur by divine order. When Maulana al-Imam Ali approached the Prophet to seek his blessings in marrying his daughter, he was overcome with shyness. The Prophet encouraged him to speak, at which point Ali proposed. However, the Prophet did not answer him immediately. The Prophet then consulted Fatima and sought her reply. She accepted. The marriage of Ali and Fatima was then solemnized by God Himself and declared as such by the Prophet, peace be upon him and his progeny. After the migration to Medina, the Prophet faced continual threats from the Quraysh and the polytheists of Mecca, and Thenan Muslims who lived in and around Medina. Peace and security were paramount, yet the Prophet's attempts to keep peace within the region were proving to be futile. The opposition in Mecca mobilized its troops to demolish the newly established Islamic State in Medina. Standing firm in the face of military aggression, the Prophet was compelled to defend Islam in what became known as the Battle of Badr. The battle erupted only 2 years after the Hijrah, migration, and although the Prophet's army was far outnumbered, historians report that they were outpowered and outnumbered 3-1, they triumphed. A story about this battle in the Quran reveals that God sent an army of angels to assist the Muslims against the Meccans. The Muslim success in the battle gave immense prestige to the infant Islamic community in Medina and struck a major blow to the pride of the Meccans. The following year, the Meccans wanted to avenge their defeat. On a small mountain called Uhud, west of Medina, the second major battle was fought, which became known as the Battle of Uhud. In the beginning of the battle, the Muslims showed signs of victory. However, the insubordination of some Muslim men caused the final setback in the battle, in which many Muslims were injured and lost their lives. The Prophet himself was injured and he lost his beloved uncle, Hamza ibn Abdullah Muttalib, who was one of his greatest supporters. Although the Battle of Uhud was a setback for the Muslim community, they were able to remain in Medina. Afterwards, many other victorious defensive battles consolidated the Muslims. For example, battles such as Ahzab, which took place in 5 after Hijrah, Khaybar, which took place in 7 after Hijrah, Mu'tah, which took place in 8 after Hijrah, and Zayt al-Salasil, which took place in 8 after Hijrah. Hence, Islam became an ever-increasing spiritual and political force in Arabia, which eventually paved the way to the conquest of Mecca. In the 9th year of the Hijrah, Prophet of Allah, Muhammad, and his followers entered Mecca after a peaceful surrender by the Meccans. The Prophet of Allah went directly to the Kaaba to perform the tawaf, circumambulation. As he entered the station of the Kaaba, there sat the 3 main idols that the pagans had worshipped above the Kaaba's door entrance. With his spear, Prophet Muhammad destroyed them while reciting, "And say truth has arrived and falsehood has perished, for falsehood is bound to perish." The Holy Quran 17:31. Please bear in your mind that the Kaaba is a cube made of stone. It was first built by Prophet Adam. Later, Prophet Abraham and his son Ishmael rebuilt the Kaaba's foundation. The Kaaba is the center and direction of Muslim prayers. Subsequently, more than 300 idols were destroyed inside and around the Kaaba. The destruction of the idols symbolized the arrival and the proclamation of truth and the end to falsehood. Islam was now home. The Prophet then granted general amnesty to all the Meccans who had fought against him for 22 years. Afterwards he addressed them with these words: "You have been unreasonable countrymen. You refuted my prophethood and turned me out of my home, and when I took refuge in a far-off place, you rose to fight against me. You killed my uncle and my best companions. However, in spite of all these crimes of yours, I forgive all of you and make you free, and declare that you may go after the pursuits of your life." During the 10th year after the Hijrah, the Prophet performed the farewell Hajj, which was also his only and final Hajj pilgrimage. The day of Arafat is a holy day for the Muslims and is the 9th day of the 12th lunar Islamic month of Zulhijjah. This happens to be approximately 70 days after the end of the month of Ramazan and marks the climax of the Hajj pilgrimage. The day following Arafat is the major Islamic holiday of Eid al-Adha. At dawn of this day, Muslim pilgrims will make their way from Mecca to a nearby hillside and plain called Mount Arafat and the Plain of Arafat. On the day of Arafat, over 100,000 pilgrims were present when the Prophet of Allah commenced his sermon by saying, "O people! Hear my words, for it possible that I may not meet you at this place in the future. O people! Your blood and property, honor and reputation are forbidden toward one another until the day you meet Allah. O people! Your women have rights upon you and you also have rights upon them. You should treat them with kindness and love, and you should provide them with a comfortable means in life." Please refer to Sirat Ibn Hisham v.2p.605. While the Prophet and his companions were returning from the farewell pilgrimage and 3 months before the Prophet's martyrdom, the final verse of the Quran was revealed. "O Prophet! Proclaim what has been revealed to you from your Lord, that's to say the succession of Maulana al-Imam Ali, for if you do not, you will not have conveyed his message, and Allah will protect you from the people." 567. This historical revelation came upon the Prophet at a major crossroad between Mecca and Medina, called Ghadir Qam. The Prophet had just concluded making his first, and only, Hajj and was returning home, along with over 100,000 pilgrims, when he received the command by God to appoint Maulana al-Imam Ali as his immediate successor at his death. After the Prophet of Allah peace be upon him and his progeny had revealed the command before the people, the Holy Quran then concluded with its last and final verse. "This day, I have perfected your religion for you, completed my favor on you, and have chosen for you Islam as your religion." 5.3. All of the companions of the Prophet paid personal allegiance to Maulana al-Imam Ali and accepted him as the Caliph after the Prophet. Allah has ordained Maulana al-Imam Ali Amir al-Mu'minin as the legal successor of the Holy Prophet of Allah in the Ghadir Qam. On the 28th of Safar, the second month of the lunar-based Islamic calendar 11 after Hijrat, at the age of 63, the noble Prophet mysteriously martyred. At the time of his death, the majority of the people in Arabia had accepted Islam by their hearts, as their religion and way of life. However, the hypocrite companions of the Holy Prophet peace upon him and his progeny started executing their plotted plans for deviating the people from Maulana al-Imam Ali, the legal successor of the Holy Prophet, to Aboobakr and Omar. A fast coup d'état formed and Islam and its rightous followers were alienated. The hypocrites led by Aboobakr and Omar transformed the teachings, beliefs, morals, laws, and etiquette of Islam. The religion of peace has then transformed into a dangerous terrorist system. The legal and righteous successors of the Holy Prophet peace be upon them have been always fighting against the deviating movement.